If you ever find yourself sitting there wondering the importance of core training, do this. Train your core today. Train it hard, loaded. And then for the following day, come in and try to squat or deadlift and see how you go. It is incredible how much it zaps you. Not only the muscles which are keeping your core intact are now fatigued and you are unstable. Not only is the muscle responsible for keeping you stable, fatigued, but also the core, as we like to call it, wraps itself around the spinal cord. And so the spinal cord has very good feedback about its stability. And as we know, the boss of us is the brain and the spinal cord, the little lollipop diagram, right? The brain and its little tail, spinal cord. And it has the power to shut down works, man. It will shut down the whole factory in order to preserve itself. So if there's instability in any part of your lumbar spine, thoracic spine, cervical or sacral part of your body, just the whole spinal column, if there's any stability there, it will try to downregulate the muscles involved in that area. Just downregulate. So you have all this power in your engine, but the computer of the system, is not allowing you to tap into that power. That's exactly what the spinal cord does and what the CNS does. Today I tried front squatting after lots of sets of sit-ups, and I am weak. I am uncharacteristically weak. 140 felt very unstable, very weak. And of course, lots of training has happened around the time, but this core training has an effect. There's always a dip in training after I hit core hard. So if you're ever wondering, I don't know, man, not sure about that core business. Yeah, it's all well and good. I don't see it. Man, do a session of hardcore, man, and then come back and try and do something. There is a dip in your performance on that graph if you're plotting it. And it's palpable, man. It's definitely palpable and recognizable. And it's something that you have to take into account. So on the reverse thought of that, doesn't it make sense? Something that has such a big impact to your training, when fatigued, doesn't it make sense to make it less fatigable, if that's even a freaking word? Doesn't it make sense to make that part of your body stronger? It's not sexy training, man. It's not primary training, right? It's not, you don't see the core working as easily as you see, let's say, the quads or the glutes working. But it's so freaking important, man. So freaking important. I would go as far as to say that I think a lot of people walking the earth, especially in the 21st century, are more capable than the body allows them. And I think the rate limiting factor in all of that is simply the core. Think about what happens when you sit, your core switches off. Think about it. We spend so much time sitting. Even me, I'm an emergency nurse, man. I spend a lot of time walking around and doing things, but even I don't move my body like a farmer does or like a tradie does or whatever have you, like the really, really physical jobs out there. And then on the opposite spectrum, there are people in the office that rarely freaking get up. The only time they get up is to go and take a shit or, to take a piss. Think about how inactive our human species has become, at least in the Western world, at least in the first world. But that's kind of what happens. It's the moment in time that we live. I think it's important to be aware of that and to kind of cater your training to that. And I think core training is something that, we spoke about it, in the comments in yesterday's video. A lot of us tuck it in at the end, and I don't know if it might work for you. Look, that doing that is better than zero, but I like the idea of training it like a minute, man. Coming in fresh and be like, okay, today I'm gonna smash this when I'm freshest, when I'm the most ready. And so I've included, a core day. Before that, I was doing a 4-day split. Now I'm doing a 5-day split. I just decided to, dedicate a lot of time to core. So I have a quad day, a hamstring day, basically a push-pull, upper-lower, basically. Push-pull, upper-lower, that's a 4-day split, and then you tuck in core at the end, and that's it, and then repeat. that's kind of what I'm doing. It gives me enough time, to recover from the hack squats. And right now that I'm doing these belt squats, which are feeling a little bit better today, I must say. The second session already kind of feels a little bit better. So it's kind of like the hack squat. It takes a little time to get used to it. But then you start to kind of unravel some of its secrets and you start to feel more comfortable. So I'll spend 3 weeks here and then I'll go back to hack squats and I'll just keep going back and forth, continue smashing the living hell out of the quads because it's obvious that that's what's needed and that's what my body's responding to. And I must say, these belt squats feel so much better with the ollie shoes. There's just a little bit more ankle dorsiflexion, a little bit more loading on the quads, and it just feels perfect. Feels really, really good. And I think it even feels better than the hack squats because there is the absence of the lower back pump, which is, debilitating and, it kind of sucks when you're trying to hit one muscle and the other one starts screaming at you halfway through the session. When you get a lower back pump, it overpowers, as we said. Anything to do with the core starts to overpower every other stimulus in the body that's trying to talk to you. The spine screams the loudest. As you all know, man, I'm sure somebody in your life or even you yourself, has experienced back pain, lower back pain. It's debilitating, man. I've broken both ankles. I've done some dislocated fingers in basketball. Probably the worst thing I've ever done is broken an ankle. Or I should be more specific, I broke the 5th metatarsal, base of the metatarsal. I call it a broken ankle, but it's really a bone in my foot. Although a whole stack of other ligaments popped off as well. So it was kind of like let's say an ankle sprain with a foot fracture, bone fracture. Man, it took me 6 weeks. I was in a moon boot for like 4 weeks, I want to say. And then I was ginger a long time after that. That's not to say that those injuries are fun. They're not fun, but when you do a back, dude, you can't even brush your teeth, man. And I've done my back once, and it scared the living hell out of me and probably changed the course of my entire life. And that sounds very dramatic, but my entire training changed. And my training, is a very, very big part of my life now. And that big part of my life has been dominated by that one experience of hearing a pop in my lower back and then immense pain and then paresthesia to both legs. Paresthesia means numbness to both legs. Concern like, shit, am I going to be able to walk out of this place today? Like, it was proper bad. Dropped on the ground, motionless, took my breath away. And funny enough, in that moment, I knew my front core was weak. So I started slowly doing crunches, slowly trying to activate the belly, essentially, the six-pack muscles, the obliques. Try to do like all sorts of activation exercises for that, just so I can turn stuff on at the front so I can get up off the floor. There was hardly anybody at the gym at that time. This is like when I was 20. So I thought, man, how am I going to get out of this gym? It was a 24/7 fitness joint. I got up, went home, and I don't know how, man, but the following day I felt good. So I don't know whether I herniated a disc. I don't know what happened, but I was able to continue living my life without pain. But in that moment, for that day, oh my God, that was scary shit. And so you go through that moment once, forever, you respect the pain. You respect the core because of the pain. But even me, I sometimes slip and I disrespect core training. It's freaking stupid. Train your core, fellas. Appreciate you. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.